3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
The 21st century is a remarkable product of the hardships that civilization has faced throughout history. This era, the era of information, has awoken a dormant passion for the people of Earth. At hand is an enthralling sensation for change and progress. Among the causes for this spark and ambition is the creation of computing. From the invention of the first computer to the Apollo moon landing, computing was a glimpse of a new era. The world is now dominated by this technology. It seems like everything in our life contains a computer of some sort. Today, nearly half of the jobs in America require at least some degree of understanding computers. Whether it is simple software or computer science, technology is considered an essential part of our lives. We are able to access a seemingly infinite world of information with a single device, and it fits in your pocket. This efficiency that embodies today's lifestyle has received its fair share of criticism, but beneath that layer of mass appeal lies a world of possibilities. With this significant role that technology plays in our life, it would seem not only unreasonable to not make it a part of our education, but abhorrent. To begin, let's talk about education. To understand technology, you must understand where it comes from, computer science. And you must understand that computer science requires a specific instrument to conduct learning, computers. However, providing enough computers for a school to teach a class this subject is an expensive procedure. Yet again, this is not the only issue. There also must be enough students interested in taking the class to make it all worthwhile. And if the subject is not made apparent in day-to-day life, there will be no students interested in a subject that is completely foreign to them. This happens to be the major problem, other than schools' ignorance to the importance of technology. Both in rural and urban environments, low income or little access to information help create a generation of disinterested students. This has come to be known as the digital divide. There are many organizations working together to offer the knowledge and understanding of computer science to those who would have never been able to find it themselves. This is a tremendous step forward for society as a whole. But what about on a local level? What can be done for students who already desire to know more about technology? Or is it even worth investing time into? There has to be some motive for why so many people see it as only capable of derailing society into crippling laziness.
My papers, business papers.
And what do you do, sir?
I'm unemployed.
And they never looked at the benefits of it. If you look at, when they had trains and cars, and compared to, horse and buggy, people said the same thing. Well, gosh, now people are gonna, on and on and on with all these horrible things. Well, my title is Technology Integration Specialist, which is just a fancy title for kind of a little bit of everything. You've sat in rooms before where teachers are doing the same thing today that they did, 20 years ago when they started the profession, and they learned it from, their teacher, from when they were kids. And so there's not been a lot of change in some of our classrooms. Some teachers, like yours, is always doing something progressive, but not everybody's there. And those teachers are typically still very good teachers, doing what they do very well. But that's not always appropriate for the generation who's expecting something technology-based, and for the careers to prepare them for that are dependent upon technology skills. So my job is to try to bridge that gap. Saying this is what you should be doing is very different than saying, here's a neat alternative, I can show you how this works, we can consider. And sometimes teachers look at that and go, that's great, I think I'll do that, please help me, and I'll walk them through it. And sometimes they go, no, I'm not going to do that.
But is it worth all the trouble? Does technology appear in everyday life often enough? And is it useful enough to be considered as a possible subject in school?
Yeah, there's no going back. It's because we demand it, as a society. We buy things that make our life easier. Computers. Just the average computer can process, more than a human brain, and that's just the average computer. Much less the Watson-developed thing, like from IBM. You start connecting those things together onto something like the internet. It's limitless. I think that without a doubt, there's no going back. Everything is gonna, is on a chip. The Raspberry Pi's got their newest version. I mean, you can do so much stuff on this little $30 chip that it used to take rooms full of supercomputers to do. Those types of little things are going to be embedded in every little, you know, most everything is already, but everything that's not is going to be that way. I mean, before long, I mean, you know, you're already talking about, you know, processors, you know, implanted in eyes, you know, in retinas, and the more that it gets into the human body, things that become unnoticeable in typical traffic.
There are many students who already seek to major in computer science, and many students who wish to study computer science but become skeptical after realizing that they will first encounter it in college. If computer science is such a useful subject, then why do only 6% of American schools offer it? Is it a problem with flexibility? How about we use classes like programming as an alternative to foreign language? After all, they both seem pretty foreign.
If you're in a city or state that has this huge population of different languages, and you need to be able to speak both. You need to be successful in life knowing both languages. Some cities, some locations, you know, across America don't have that big of a population. You can live your entire life and never have to worry about knowing anything except for your own. I don't encourage that. I mean, I love the idea of learning foreign languages, and I encourage it, love the idea. But I think a student should have the flexibility to say, look, I think that that's a noble cause to learn to learn a foreign language, but I think that programming is a more noble cause. And I think that should even be broadened. You know, maybe a kid comes in and doesn't want to know either one, but wants to learn how to weld. I wish we had more flexibility built into high school in general. Adults and politics and school boards and even, you know, school site-based councils have said, well, you've got to have this class, and you've got to have this class, and you've got to have this class. Now, those are good classes to have, but it would be nice if we had more flexibility.
So this could be a possible solution, both for students who wish to take computer science and those who have no desire or no need to learn a second language. 1 out of every 10 schools that already offer computer science also grant it as an alternative to foreign language.
That may be a national statistic, but not at Kentucky. Kentucky is still against the law. I shouldn't say against the law. And this gets into a little bit of politics, but that's okay, I like that too. The current statute says that our state universities, not the private schools, but the state universities, have to look at high school students to be college preparatory, what used to be called CP, or college prep. Part of that fundamental requirement is 2 years of foreign language. Now we're wanting to incorporate and encourage programming. Instead of saying, let's also allow this, additionally allow this, or instead of saying in place of this, you know, allowing computer science in place of foreign language, the way that politically it has been offered up legislatively has been to say that it is this, saying that programming is a foreign language. And there's some validity to that. I mean, if you've looked at Spanish that you don't know and you look at Java that you don't know, both are a foreign language to me. But the nature of the original bill of having foreign language is more about culture. I think when you find local legislatures, state legislatures that are more bold in saying, okay, let me reword that. I don't want it to be an amendment. I don't want it to be something supplementary that says that computer science is a foreign language. I mean, it should be recognized as its own value. If the bill that went forward said that it could be a replacement for, instead of just counted as the same thing, maybe there wouldn't be quite as much blowback. Because there was quite a bit of resistance both years. But the reason was because of the foreign language teachers, you know, collectively, you know, made their voice known to the representatives saying this is not good, this is not right, you know, if you want to have computer science, fine, do your own language, but don't say it's the same thing as ours.
So, there is a lot of controversy regarding the importance of technology classes in schools, and even more for whether or not it's considered a foreign language. Maybe we don't need it after all. Is this even a problem? It seems like if it were not a problem, you would already see it in schools.
It is a problem, and it is a big problem. 4 years ago, nobody was even having this conversation. You look at 2 years ago, it was, hey, look at that weird model over there. You know, just in the last 6 months to a year, now you're seeing, you know, examples pop up all over the place. And I think if you go forward another 2 or 4 years, you've got younger siblings that come through, you know, Davis County 4 years from now, they may sit in an introduction to programming class and never even think about the fact that it didn't always exist. The trouble with the problem is that it's not apparent now. It's going to be apparent, you know, half a generation away. And I say that because if you go to India, for example, or some of the bigger cities in China, Singapore, other countries that are competitors economically, globally economically, they're putting out programmers like crazy. And we are struggling to realize that that has as much significance as something like a foreign language class, which is what our colleges require. 2 years at least. In Kentucky, there's been bills put forward that would allow 2 years of computer science to be the equivalence of 2 years of foreign language. You know, and it's been struck down 2 years in a row, and we won't let that go forward. So we argue about little things like that when these other countries are saying, that's the future, that's where the jobs are, I'm going to shoot for that. And we kind of restrict ourselves from that. Now, the technology is useful. Technology changes landscapes, opens up new doors and opportunities never really thought about. But yeah, our your age again. Looking back, I mean, I love my career and I'm glad I'm doing what I'm doing. But if I was in that shoes again, without a doubt, I'd be going to computer programming.